Welcome to the Richard Sherman Podcast. If you're new, hit that sub button. We're here to give you great NFL content. Stay tuned.
Well, let's take it to Seattle, the division foe at home against the New York Giants. Everyone thought this was going to be a win, myself included, and it wasn't. Richard, where do you point the blame here? Because again, this game was a W when you looked at it on the win column going into this game, and maybe we overlooked it. This is the NFL. The Giants showed up. The Seahawks clearly did not.
Where do you point the blame? A lot of places. Defensively, you need more. Coming off the Jared Goff perfect game on Monday night, you expect to say, hey, let's rinse that, watch that film, really be critical of each other, really be critical of ourselves, and say, we're going to get that fixed. We're going after this guy, Daniel Jones. He's been struggling. Let's bury him early, get the 12s into this game, have the crowd feeling good, and just walk away with this game in a way that you expect and feel good going in Thursday night. That was not the case. I mean, this is probably Daniel Jones's best game as a professional, moving the ball at will, finding his players at will, and this is without his best player, arguably the best player on their team in Malik Neighbors. And so that just adds another layer of another component to how terrible this loss was, because how are you letting him move the ball like this without Malik Neighbors? At one point, he was 13 of 15 and just really efficient, moving around. They're not getting into him. They're running the ball with a relatively unknown sixth-round drafted rookie in Tyrone Tracy, who had 18 carries for 129 yards and was just slicing and dicing this defense that was tremendous the first 3 weeks of the season, where they were 3-0. They were one of the best defenses against the run. And again, you're seeing where Leonard Williams and Byron Murphy would come into play. Mitchell, you need those big fellas up front. And without them, you're seeing a drastic fall off on that level and in that regard in terms of run defense. But on the other side, you're looking like, hey, the secondary who's been really playing well, and Mike MacDonald's scheme has been doing really well. You're just, I mean, they're not stopping anybody. Slayton was all over the field, having his way. He had 8 catches for 122 and a touchdown. I just can't imagine how this would have went if Malik Neighbors would have played. It might have gotten bad. I don't really have a lot of answers. Again, Geno Smith didn't have a lot of opportunities because they weren't on the field for very long. He was sacked 7 times. And again, we talked about what Detroit, he was hit, 14 times. You got to stop. This offensive line has to get this corrected. They have to fix this problem because, again, when Geno's kept upright and able to deal, he can play. He can play at a really high level. But there are very few quarterbacks that can get sacked 7 times and still play a really good game. He threw for almost 400 last week and was getting the heck beat out of him. And he played a really solid game this week, 28 of 40, 284, 1 touchdown, no interceptions, had 73 rushing yards, which led the team. Very critical rushes on that last drive to get them in field goal range. And for all intents and purposes, I feel like he did everything he needed to do to get this team in position to win this game or at least tie it under the circumstances he's under. They're not blocking for him. They're not blocking well. They don't have the personnel up front to protect him. On the other side, that defensive line isn't getting the pressure they once were. Tyrell Dodson had a sack. Derek Hall had a sack. But one of the sacks was literally Daniel Jones just falling over himself, dropping the football, and then slapping the football back towards the goal line. I mean, it just looked like a ridiculous play, especially early in the game. And you're thinking, oh, man, Daniel Jones is about to have another Daniel Jones game, and the Seattle Seahawks are going to run away with this one. But that is not what happened. He turned that game around immediately. It was a 3rd and long. I think it was a 3rd and 18, and they threw a screen. They threw a screen pass, Mitchell, and they got the first down. And then they threw another one. They said, hey, it worked so nice. Let's do it twice. And it worked again. And that's where I started to sense a little concern for myself. I said, "Oh, this might not be a good day," because these are simple plays. I play with one of the best screen masters in the game, and KJ Wright. If there was a screen, even if he's the only guy over there, that screen was snuffed out and done. He read it so fast, and you're not getting those kind of reads. I don't know if it's, if they're adjusting to new coverages or they're trying new things schematically, but it's not looking the same as it was. The secondary gave up some explosive passes throughout this game that just were uncharacteristic of who they were over the first 3 games. Rashawn Jenkins had a really cool play, the 102-yard fumble recovery touchdown that looked kind of like a touchdown early in the game. And but even in that drive, they drove the ball all the way down to the 1, and they did it relatively easy. And although they came out and the defense got a turnover and scored a touchdown, it still didn't leave you feeling like this was going to be their game. And Jerome Baker had 14 tackles and a sack, played a really good game. But when you give up 129 yards to a guy, you never feel good about it. This was supposed to be an easy win at home in front of the 12s. Instead, you're kicking a field goal to tie the game. They block it, return it for a touchdown, and just break your hearts. And it never should come down to that. It shouldn't come down to that. They had opportunities to win this game, to close it out, and they just didn't get it done. And it really, really was sad and frustrating. I'm sure it was frustrating for the team and frustrating for the fans. Obviously, again, we have them this Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern on Prime in Seattle against the San Francisco 49ers. Both teams looking to get the bad taste out of their mouth. And we'll see how that goes. But right now, it's really a really disappointing, heartbreaking loss for these teams. And both teams were at home and got to get in their cars and drive back and look in the mirror and have some really tough conversations. And these coaches are going to have to make some really difficult decisions in the near future of how to fix these things, because that interior offensive line for the Seattle Seahawks has to get fixed. Obviously, the right tackle has been a revolving door, injuries and things like that. Hopefully Abraham Lucas can come back soon. But if they don't get healthy on that defensive line, and I'm not sure they're going to get healthy enough by this Thursday, they're going to have a really tough time.
Richard, let's not understate this here. I mean, these 2 outcomes are shockers, put simply, and it could have been a lot worse. You mentioned the Rashawn Jenkins 102-yard fumble recovered for a touchdown. That's a 14-point swing right there. Seattle could have been over and out a heck of a lot earlier in this game. They stuck with it. The other thing is DK Metcalf. This is 2. I've really enjoyed watching him this season. He's in my opinion, he's stepped up. He's become a leader on this team. But 2 games in a row with crucial fumbles, right? I mean, it's got to correct that. And then the Giants, they might have found somebody in this Tyrone Tracy, because he gashed the Seattle Seahawks defense time and time again. You're not used to seeing that out of a rookie 6th-round pick, but they might have found somebody there in New York.